Hi folks, how are you doing? In the round number 6 of the Tata Steel tournament in Rotterdam, Netherlands, we had the central match of chess nowadays. We had world number 2, Fabiano Caruana from Italy with white pieces, facing world number 1 and world champion Magnus Carlsen from Norway. And the game certainly didn't let us down. It was very entertaining and highly instructive. Once again, I think Carlsen and Caruana as well are providing very interesting and instructive games in this tournament. So I personally liked this game a lot. Let's see if you like it and if we can learn something from this. Caruana plays 1e4. Carlsen answers with the Sicilian. And we have knight c6, bishop b5, the Rossolimo variation. Of course, the old male line goes 3d4, the open Sicilian, but this Rossolimo variation is also extremely popular. g6, Carlsen goes for a dragon kind of position, as he did against Fabiano, by the way, in Sinkfield Cup last year in St. Louis, USA. And this time Fabiano just takes on c6, d takes, not capturing towards the center but giving freedom to this bishop on c8, and Caruana plays d3, playing the position very slowly and safely. Bishop g7, h3, avoiding the pin from the bishop. Some normal developing moves, and Carlsen here plays b6, probably anticipating bishop e3, very natural, attacking c5, which was not protected. So bishop e3 is played, and an interesting e5 is played here, inviting white to take the pawn. Well, Caruana didn't, he just castled, very normal, in case he was to take, well, which certainly isn't that bad, I guess. Black is recovering his pawn more or less easily, taking on e4, uncorking a discovered attack on e5, so I guess this is not a big deal for black here. But Caruana just castled here, completes development, so does Magnus, and a3. For the moment, an enigmatic move, not easy to see the idea behind it so far, but we're gonna find out very soon. Queen e7 and queen b1. Now we see Caruana wants to play on the queen side. b4 is his idea. We were supporting this pawn advance with a3 and with queen to b1 right now. And Carlsen clearly shows his intentions to do so on the other side of the board, trying to play for a kingside attack, as he has the rook there, the queen, the knight on h5, the bishop could be useful, the one on c8, don't forget about this, very typical in a King's Indian kind of position like this one could be somehow similar to King's Indian with a f5 coming. So as much as the opening was rather slow and dull maybe, now the position is going sharpened in the middle game, so we're going to see a very interesting game so far from now on. b4, f5, nice position, right? b takes c5 is played, f4, very natural, chasing away the bishop, winning space on the king side, bishop back to d2, and now Carlsen takes back, allowing a couple of isolated and doubled pawns, which certainly are not great positionally speaking, but he's not Carlsen is not going to play positionally here. He's going to play for activity on the king side, and here we're gonna see a very interesting contrast in this game. White is going to try to go for positional methods, try to get some pawns here, try to go for the end game, taking advantages of his better pawn structure, and black will go for the attacking chess, going for the killer blow against white king, which is here, very interesting. Queen b3 check, bishop e6, and queen a4. This queen had quite a creative trip from d1 to b1, b3, and now a4 attacking c6. Rook ac8 and queen a5. As I said, white will probably try to go for this c5 pawn, doubled pawn, isolated, it cannot be defended easily. Knight a4, and white just picks that pawn up. Meanwhile, black argues. Carlsen says, well, I have space on the king side, I have active pieces, and your king is here, so activity above all. Let's see who will come out better with a better plan here. g5. The engine is giving here white some advantage, but chess is a dynamic game, so the position is rather unclear for me, at least, as black has a simple plan of attacking, and it is always easier to attack than to defend. Knight a4. Still, of course, white has to stick with his plan, otherwise he's not doing anything, so he goes for the c5 pawn. g4, h takes, bishop takes, and queen takes c5, offering a queen exchange, which of course Magnus has to reject, as he's playing for activity and attack, and he cannot afford the exchange of queens. Knight to h2. Of course, Fabiano doesn't want to see his king side opened up with having to capture with the pawn on f3, so he goes away from f3. I mean, if he was to play something like rook fb1, trying to go to the 7th rank, etc. Now, for instance, queen to g6, and black has very concrete threats, and well, it is not easy to play with white here. It's very easy to go wrong and get checkmated or something very easily, I think. So knight h2 seems reasonable, but f3, a wonderful move by the world champion. Seems he's giving his bishop on g4 for free, but certainly that's the case. But of course he has some ideas in mind, not that difficult actually to see, but still interesting tactics. White takes the knight, the bishop with the knight. Now queen g6, attacking not really the knight, but the point on g2, which would be checkmate in one. So white must be certainly very careful, although up a piece. And he plays, Caruana played here very precisely, queen e7, nice move. Now we're gonna see the idea behind this move. First of all, to illustrate that white just can't be playing automatic natural looking move like knight e3 defending g2, but now knight a4, the knight joins the party, bombarding white king, and who knows how many moves this king will be leaving on the board. Not many, probably. But instead, queen e7 is quite a nice move, as now after f takes. So let's first see why shouldn't, oops, that was too fast, why shouldn't black take the knight right away, because now we have queen g5. Now we see the idea behind queen e7, attacking both the queen and the knight, forcing the queen exchange, which would be in white's favor. So Carlsen very precisely, we must say, takes first on g2, attacks the rook goes to b1. Now he takes the queen, the knight with the queen, I keep confusing the pieces. And now after queen g5, the pawn isn't on f3 anymore, and you can see he can go to e2, as he does, attacking the pawn on f2 with both the rook and the queen with some deadly threats, and the queen must go to e3, once again offering the queen exchange and protecting f2. Carlsen went back, queen g5, and now he decides, okay, let's exchange queens. Okay, a queenless position, middle game / end game. Black's pawns are of course are weaker. We have almost all pawns are isolated. Well, these two cannot be considered isolated, but they're very far away one from another, so you can't even imagine this pawn defending the one on g2. And clearly, positionally speaking, pawn structure speaking, white is much better, but his knight on a4 isn't doing that much. His king is weaker, and black has some active pieces, like the knight here near white king, the rook on f8, the bishop is potentially good, etc. Knight f4 is what the world champion played here, defending g2, which is an important pawn. And unfortunately for Fabiano, he didn't play a very good move here at all. He just went for the pawn grabbing here. Not sure which was the better move. I'm not sure which should he have played, but certainly he took on f4, which doesn't seem very good move at all. And now Magnus Carlsen will be providing us a very instructive lesson on how activity is always very important in chess. I think this position is, the game starting from this position is very instructive, very nice. First of all, now this bishop is a monster on g7. We're attacking the rook on a1. So if you just go, the point, we may say the main point is that if you just go rook a2, trying to save the exchange, well, now this gives black a very important tempo to play f3. This pawn is defended, and how about this plan? Rook f6, rook a6, rook h1, checkmate. How is white going to stop that? Not that easy to say, right? So this comes to say to show how important activity is, and in this case king safety. White king is absolutely looking miserable here on g1, unable to move. You just can go to h2, which doesn't seem that a great place, as the bishop could be checking him from there anywhere. So this is a very important and instructive point to see. You cannot just go away with the rook. So Caruana just decides to sacrifice the exchange and take on g2. And once again, Magnus Carlsen shows how these top GMs think in chess. At least Carlsen in this case. Anyone in the world probably would take the rook on a1. Not a bad move. You're taking an exchange and probably have a better position. Technically we could be speaking about a winning position. But once again, activity above all. He first goes with f3 check, underlining once again the weakness of this white king. Where is the king is going to go? I mean, if he goes up to g3, well, we can at least take the rook, go with the rook to c7 and activate our rooks. The king isn't safe anywhere. But the point is that, well, Caruana just goes to f1, and once again we have a very similar idea. This pawn on f3 is very important, this position. Black has once again the idea to go to f4, h4, go down, checkmate. And if needed, this bishop could provide extra assistance, going for instance to a6 to control these dark squares. Now once again, compare the rooks, this rook on a1 and the one on b1. This rook on f8 is nearly as valuable as these two rooks together. Compare the minor pieces. What is this knight doing here? Nothing. He just went there to take the pawn on c5. Remember that? Well, right now this bishop is a monster, attacking a1, providing extra assistance here to kill this king. This is the lessons we can try to learn from these top players like Magnus Carlsen in this case. Activity above all, active pieces, king safety is very important. Rook f4 is what was played here. Caruana plays c3. The point is that he tries to find a way to escape with the king, and as if black goes with the rook to h4, which isn't bad, but he just gives him white the slight opportunity to run through c2, which is the square which was liberated with the move to c3. But Carlsen is being much more precise here. He goes rook d8, activating the other rook, active pieces, and now d3 is under fire. d4 is played. Needless to say that, well, now e4 is hanging, so this is weakening white's position more and more. Bishop h6. Black is in no hurry. Now he improves his bishop. The bishop wasn't doing that much anymore on this diagonal, so let's find a more useful diagonal like this one. King e1. Caruana tries to run, but wait a moment, wasn't e4 hanging? Now it's with a check, so let's take it. Check. King d1, c5. King hand at its best, trying to open up the d file as well. The rook is there. King to c2, c takes, king d3, some desperado moves with the king even going forward, attacking this rook, taking advantage of the shelter by this pawn. But well, rook goes to e2. See how important is the f3 pawn for black here. And by the way, Carlsen used another black pawn on f3 to beat Van Velde just a couple of days ago in this same tournament. See the game here in the link. Well, what we can do, c4 was played, but after rook takes f2 and rook d1, rook back to e2, Caruana had just enough. Black is completely dominating the board with all his pieces being extremely active. Look at this bishop, look at both rooks, look at the pawn on f3, looking very, very dangerous. And which is very important, white king is in the middle of the storm, so a complete domination from the middle game on for the world champion. Magnus Carlsen showing once again his skills on the middle game and providing us with a very interesting and instructive game against world number 2 Fabiano Caruana. Thanks for watching.